Daisy and I met when we were about 16 years old. We both grew up in Dallas, Texas. And it was actually a concert that we were both kind of dragged by our parents to. And at the time, I was a pretty shy kid, and she might not want me to say this, but she actually approached me. We kind of hit it off the very first moment we met, and we became friends, of course. She gave me her number, told me to call her. And eventually, you know, we started talking pretty much every day, and got to know each other. But unfortunately at the time I wasn't really, able to come see her or visit her, so our conversations kind of died down a little bit and kind of lost touch.
So when we found each other again, it was probably 7 years later, and he was in Los Angeles, I was in Houston. I already had 2 kids at the time. I had children when I was, starting at the age of 17, and I had been through a divorce, so it was a very awkward situation where we found each other on MySpace. And when I found him again, it was a matter of saying hello, it was a matter of catching up, and then when I finally got to a point where we warmed up to each other, I asked him to forgive me. And so when I asked him for forgiveness, and he forgave me, so I was looking for closure with him, and what turned into something that I just wanted to close the door on turned out to be a friendship that we ended up growing into, and we ended up talking more and more, and the feelings we had for each other when we were 16 came back all over again. It was God's perfect plan for us to be together at that time, at that moment, and to have gone through all those things to be where we are right now.
We found out that she was pregnant. For us, being very serious about our relationship and our walk with Christ, we knew that we wanted to make things right. And even though we had such big plans for our wedding, we wanted to make sure that we didn't compromise our beliefs. So January 6, 2008, we finally had our wedding day, and we were happy. We were both happy that we were finally able to get married, but at the same time it was kind of like we sacrificed our dream wedding. We sacrificed a lot of things, and for us, even though we were really happy that we were able to finally get married, it was somewhat of a sacrifice as far as our dreams go. But at the same time, we knew that we were doing the right thing, and it was kind of a hard situation because we always wanted, our best man, our maid of honor, our bridesmaids, and all the whole 9 yards of the big dance, all these things. And unfortunately, we didn't have it in our first wedding. But we knew that eventually, someday, if we stayed faithful to God, that there were bigger and better plans for our life. So
our proposal story is a little different from everyone else's, because we didn't actually have a proposal at all. And so, we got married, and there was no proposal, there was no planned wedding, there was none of that. And so when he proposed to me, it was actually several years later, after we were already married.
So one of the things I never really got to do in the beginning was propose to Daisy. And unfortunately, at the time, we were going through a lot of financial struggles, and I just didn't have the means to buy her a ring. And at the same time, we knew that it was the right thing to do, was get married and make things right with our walk with God. So 4 years later, 5 years later, a miracle happened, and I was able to propose to her. It was in California on the beach, and I actually dragged her to the beach during sunset because I know her dream proposal was always to be on the sand.
And it so happened there was a woman there. He was able to get her to take the photos, and she was crying, and I was crying, and I was very, very surprised because the proposal was something that should have never happened. We didn't have the financial means to even have a ring, but Hearts and Fire actually provided a ring for us. I was one of their Share Your Story grand prize winners. It was definitely a blessing.
My goal was to catch the exact moment where I knelt down. So I asked one of the girls, some random person, to take a photo of us, and right when she was about to click, I knelt down, took the ring out, and asked her, and I said, the exact words were, "Will you remarry me?" So
so renewed. Like, it was something that I'd never experienced in my life, and so to have someone do that to me, even though we were already married, it felt like it was a whole new thing all over again, and it was the best feeling in the world. We were able to renew our vows at Turks and Caicos, and it was a beautiful experience. It was very magical. I was walking, down the pier. I got to the sand, and I just remember overlooking this beautiful clear blue water and coming to him face to face and looking at how handsome he looked, and just everything was perfectly in place. The music was exactly what I wanted. It was the Bruno Rest of My Life song. And I remember us being able to share our own vows with each other and really just recommitting our lives to each other. Even though our beginning wasn't perfect, we were exactly where we were meant to be, and it was perfect. And I know that God is the reason for all of those things, and He has truly blessed us in ways where we could have never imagined. Like, I would have never thought that I would have been able to renew my vows, at a beach in the Caribbean. And thank you so much, Beaches and Sandals Resorts, for providing that for us and giving us that experience, because it was an experience that I will never forget for the rest of my life.
And I promise to love her for the rest of my life.
Awesome.